Have you ever had to choose which child's life to save? I was so excited when I found out my daughter was in my class, and I'd get to teach her English for an entire semester. She'd always smile at me from the back of the class, but at the same time, I had another kid named Lucas. I'd heard things about him, like how he'd been caught with a knife at school, but never really saw anything weird happen. But for some reason, he comes up to my desk in the morning and asks, "Hey, do you mind if I sit in the back today?" There was an open seat right next to my daughter. My gut said no. Every instinct in my body said, keep this kid where you can see him. But he looked genuinely in pain, squinting, rubbing his temples. We were 40 minutes into the exam, dead silent except for pencils scratching on papers. Then I heard whispering from the back corner. Not unusual. Kids always try to cheat. So I looked up ready to give my teacher stare, but that's when I saw it. Lucas was pulling something out of his backpack, showing it to someone next to him. Something black, metallic, L-shaped. My brain just stopped working. For 3 seconds, I convinced myself it wasn't what I thought. But then he adjusted his grip and I saw everything clearly. The trigger guard, the barrel, the grip. It was a gun. A real gun. My daughter was sitting 5 feet away, and he was holding it out of his bag. I started breathing heavy, but made sure nobody heard. Sweat started literally dripping off my nose onto the papers I was grading, making the red ink run. There were 28 kids in that room. What could I do? I couldn't just grab my daughter and run out of there, leaving all those poor kids behind. But I couldn't just tell them. He was holding it. I pulled out my phone under my desk, my fingers barely working, managed to dial 911, but it was dead silent in there. If I spoke, he'd hear me. The phone rang once and I hung up. Then I got an idea. I texted our assistant principal with shaking fingers. Gun, room 237, send help now, and prayed he'd see it. Nothing. The read receipt didn't even pop up. He was probably busy with something, and I forced myself to look up again. Lucas loaded something into the gun. I watched him do it. He pulled back something on top. I heard a click. My sweet girl was in the middle of her test, completely unaware about what was happening behind her. I watched them both hide their smiles as they pretended to point finger guns at their classmates, and then my daughter. I was about to scream, but then someone walked up to my desk. I jumped at the smallest movement, but it was just Roxanne, this brilliant girl who always finished tests in half the time of everyone else, always got the best score, walked up to my desk with her exam, but before she could walk back to her desk, I grabbed her hand. She was confused, but I started writing on her test, pretending to mark an answer wrong, but instead I wrote with my shaking hand, "Get the assistant principal, tell him check phone, then run out of school." She looked at me with this horrified look, but knew it was serious. She knew what to do. Can I use the bathroom?" she asked, voice steady somehow. I nodded, trying to look normal. A few other students started noticing something was wrong with me. Why was he taking so long to come? I just wanted to get her out of there. Then the knock came. I gasped, but he was standing there. Our assistant principal, Mr. Beckett, strolled in like it was any other Thursday, started talking about next week's pep rally, how the football team was doing. He was good. "Oh, hey, Lucas," he said, like he just noticed him, walking toward the back. "Need you to come look at something in your locker with me. Think someone might have broken into it." Lucas hesitated. His hand was still in the bag. "I'm in the middle of a test," he said, but he kept walking, kept talking, getting closer. "It'll just take a second. Someone said they saw kids messing with it during second period. Probably nothing but need to check." Finally, Lucas stood up, and while he walked past my daughter's desk, I felt like I was going to faint. He had his hand in his pocket, and I had no idea what he did with the gun. He could have been holding it, ready to use it at any second. He had to squeeze past her desk to get to the aisle, and I literally held my breath, but he just walked past, and the moment his foot crossed the threshold into the hallway, I heard it, the crash. Bodies slamming into lockers so hard the whole wall shook. "Down! Get on the ground now!" There were police officers waiting outside the room, waiting to tackle him and grab the weapon. Everyone was shocked, but confused as I burst out crying right there, running to hug my daughter.